Hi, welcome back to Chem 2B, and this is our second video in chapter 12, and we're going to be focusing on the photoelectric event and the de Broglie's equation. So more on quantum mechanics. There are three main phenomenons that were explained with quantum mechanics. The first that I'm going to brief on about in this video is black body radiation. And this is just the explanation that I explained why objects get redder when it gets hotter. Like for example, when lava gets hot, it turns red, and this is explained by Planck using quanta. So what it means is that light isn't measured on a curve, but instead it's measured in different quantas. You don't really need to know the full depth of the explanation for the black body radiation. You just have to know that it was discovered by Planck and kind of what it's about. The second one, which is the bigger one that is more talked about, is the photoelectric effect by Einstein himself. And what this talks about is Einstein just says that light can be thought of as a stream of photons. So light is not just a wave. Light can be photons too. And this was actually a cool thing figured out by Einstein. You can read more about it later. But for this particular class, what was discovered with this particular phenomenon was that the energy of a photon is equal to h, which is Planck's constant, times nu, which, if you remember, is the frequency. For this, h, which is Planck's constant, is always going to be equal to 6.626 times 10 to the negative 34 with the units of joules per second. And also, when it comes to more stuff on these photons were discovered to have energy, which this equation gives, and momentum, but they don't have any mass. But the equation for the momentum, so there are two different equations for the momentum of a photon. The first was the classical equation, which is P equals to the mass times nu, which is the velocity frequency. And the second one is P equals to Planck's constant divided by V. The second one is Planck's constant divided by lambda, which is the wavelength. And the units of these both end up, they're kind of almost, I think they're basically the same thing, because the units together, they match. So the first one has units of kilograms times the velocity is measured in meters per second. So that gives us kilograms times meters per second. And for this, Planck's constant has units of joules per second, and then you're dividing it by wavelength, which has meters divided by meters. And when expanded, joules give us kilograms times meters square per second square. And when you put that up there, it's kilograms times meters square over second square divided by 1/2, which becomes kilograms meter square over second square times seconds over 1. and one of the squares cancels out, and this cancels out, and it becomes kilograms times meters square over seconds divided by meters over 1. And once again, kilograms times meters square over second times 1 over m. This cancels out, one of it cancels out. And just like the first equation, you're left with kilograms times meters per second. And they're both the same thing from different equations. And you don't got to know this whole process, but I'm just explaining why they're similar. And it comes to play with the Broglie's equation, because you basically just set these two things to each other. So it's mass times the velocity is equal to h over lambda. And this is the Broglie's equation, or factor, that proves that particles have a wavelength as well. So when you solve for the wavelength, is equal to h over mass times velocity. Now back to the photoelectric effect. So back then they figured out that if you shine, so this is a wall, if you shine light onto I think like metal wall, photons bounce off those walls. But then it doesn't happen at every frequency. It only happens at, so it's like, it looks like this, like a chart. So at lower frequencies, nothing happens. Right here, nothing happens until you get to a certain frequency right here. This is the threshold. Once it crosses that threshold, then photons start to be ejected on a steady rate. It's increasing steadily. The more you increase the frequency, the faster it goes. So this is the kinetic energy of the photoelectrons that are being ejected, and this is the frequency of the light that's being shown on it. So the more the light increases, the more the kinetic energy increases, but only after it crosses a certain threshold. And the equation for this, for the photoelectric effect, is the energy of the photons is equal to the BE of the electron, which the electron is basically the binding energy of the electron, plus KE of the electron as well, which is the kinetic energy of the electron. And the equation of right here, from up here, the equation for the energy of the photon is just h times nu, which is the frequency. So you can rewrite this whole thing as the energy of the photon is this, is equal to h v naught. This is the binding energy of the electron, can just be h v naught, plus, from a while ago, the kinetic energy. We did a little bit of this in Chem 2A, where the kinetic energy, the formula for it is this, mass times velocity square. But you don't have to know too much about this equation, just know the concept that the energy of a photon, the photons that bounce off, is equal to the binding energy plus the kinetic energy. So the binding energy is the threshold plus the kinetic energy. This is the level that you're supposed to understand this certain equation by this. So right here, it talks about the wavelength of light with the minimum energy required to eject a photoelectron from potassium metal is this 550 nanometers. So this is like the thing that I drew earlier, where the photoelectrons aren't ejected till it gets to a threshold. This is the threshold. That's what it's saying. So that means that the light has to have a frequency. Well, this isn't a frequency, that's the point. This is a wavelength. But then you find the wavelength, you find the frequency, We don't particularly have to find the frequency because the exact number isn't needed, but from this you find the frequency that is needed for, if it goes above that frequency, that means photoelectrons are going to start being ejected, and the higher that frequency goes, the faster, the more kinetic energy the photoelectrons will have. So we don't need the exact frequency to answer this question because it's just a concept-based question where it asks what would happen. It's asking, would photoelectrons be ejected with light of this wavelength? And if you remember the equation, C equals to lambda times nu, the frequency. These two are they're kind of opposites. If this goes up, this has to go down mathematically. If this is always the same, it's not going to change. So if one goes up, the other has to go down to give you the same thing. So lambda being 420, it's lower than this. That means this one, this wavelength, has a higher frequency than this wavelength. And for this one, the wavelength is higher. Because it's higher, that means the frequency is lower. So since this has a higher frequency than the threshold, that means the photoelectrons will get ejected. While for this problem, since the wavelength is higher than this one, which means the frequency would be lower than the threshold, and since it doesn't get up to the threshold, that means the photoelectrons will not be ejected. We can now go back and answer this question as well. This is just a simple question asking for the calculation of the formula is already given, the energy of a photon. The formula is the Planck's, which is right here. This is the Planck's constant times the frequency. But the complicated part about this is you might be wondering, they gave you this equation, which has, you already have one of it. You're looking for the energy of the photon, but they only give you, in the problem, you're only given the wavelength, and you need the frequency to find the energy. So what you do from this is, like we did up here in the previous video, you can look at it again, we can find the frequency when given just the wavelength, because of this formula, C equals to the wavelength times the frequency. We know the wavelength, we know C is a constant, and C is always going to be 3.0 times 10 to the 8 meters per second is equal to, but then another catch with this, since this is in meters per second, we have to transfer this nanometers into meters. And from this chart as well, we have to multiply it by 10 to the negative 9 to transfer it to meters. So that's going to be 520 nanometers, or nanometers times 10 to the negative 9 meters. This becomes 5.2 times 10 to the negative 7 meters. And we can now use it with this, so the units align. So back here, remove this. The C is equal to the wavelength. This is the wavelength, and we're looking for this. So it's equal to 5.2 times 10 to the negative 7 meters times nu, which is the frequency. So to find the frequency is just going to be 3.0 times 10 to the 8 divided by 5.2 times 10 to the negative 7, which gives us approximately 5.8 times 10 to the 14th seconds, 1/seconds, or hertz, basically. Because, and this is how this is a really large number, is because the wavelength of this photon is so small, which increases the frequency, which goes with what I was saying earlier. The smaller the wavelength, the bigger the frequency. The smaller the frequency, the bigger the wavelength. They're inversely related to each other. So now we have the nu, we have the frequency. So the rest is just to plug it in. The energy of the photon is equal to 6.626 times 10 to the negative 34 joules per second times 5.8 times, not joules over, joules times seconds times 10 to the 14, 1 over second. And the reason why the seconds cancel out, and you're left with an answer in the units of joules. 3.84 times 10 to the negative 19 joules, energy joules. Okay, now we have this part down. We can go on and do the Broglie's, one of the work problems. So if you remember earlier, the Broglie's equation, combining both the momentum equations, is the mass times the velocity is equal to Planck's constant divided by the wavelength. Okay, and over here it has calculate the wavelength. So for the first one, for A, you have to rearrange the equation to h over mass times velocity. And now we start looking for the units of what to substitute into the equation. So we know what h is always going to be. H is a constant, Planck's constant, and it's always going to be this. But what about the mass? It gives us to us right here about the mass of a neutron. And when using de Broglie's equation, the mass is always done in kilograms. And then the velocity is given right here in meters per second. So for the first one, we can just plug it in. The wavelength is equal to Planck's constant, this, divided by the mass, which is this number right here, 1.675 times 10 to the negative 27, times the velocity, 2.5 times 10 to the 5th. And we can all plug into the calculator and get the answer. For the second question, we do the exact same thing, except the mass changes here. It's in grams instead of kilograms, so we have to convert it into kilograms. And we do that by dividing by 1,000. So it's going to be 0.145 kilograms. And the velocity changes as well. We do the same thing as before. We have the equation equals to h over m times v. We plug it in. The Planck's constant is 6.626 times 10 to the negative 34 divided by the mass, which is 0.145 times the velocity, which is now 40 meters per second. And we get an answer in meters, 1.14 times 10 to the negative 34 meters. And we can leave that answer in meters because it says it right here.